Hey, it's Mr. Barr, and this is the work for using physics equations. Using physics equations. All right, here's our first one. Read the instructions, check your answers, stuff like that. Okay. So I actually have this written down, so I'll do it like that. You're going to have to write stuff down in your notebook to make this work. So here's the first one. And here's how I did it. So notice that it gave me pi, so I know what 2 times pi is. And then I'm doing L divided by G, and G is given to us as 9.8. So what I'm really doing is I'm going 2 times pi times the square root of, I plug in the number, 0.5 divided by 9.8. And I just do that over and over again. So I'll do the first one here. So in a calculator, I'm going to actually start with the square root. I'm going to go, actually I'm going to start with 0.5 divided by 9.8. I have to take the square root of that, square root of the answer. Then I have to multiply by 2, and I have to multiply by pi. And that gives me 1.4 with my rounding. So 1.4. Okay, we're going to do it again. So I take my 0.75, 0.75. I divide it by my 9.8, 9.8. Boom. I take the square root of that, square root of that. I multiply it by 2, I multiply it by pi. I get 1.7, 1.7. I do it again. I take the 2, I divide it by the 9.5, 9.5. I take the square root of that, square root of that. I times it times the 2, I times it times the 3.14. I get the 2.8. Plug in the 2.8. I do it again, and this time I get a 4.5, and I call it good. Theoretically, I would do my check answer feature if I had my check answer feature turned on, but I don't. Let's go on to question number 2. All right, question number 2. They gave me, I'm being given, so my mass is 20, so I'm going to use a 20 there every time. So it's going to be 1/2 times 20 times the velocity squared. 1/2 times 20 times the velocity squared. And just keep doing that over and over again. 1/2 times 20 velocity squared. So let's do the first one. Let's do that 0.5. 0.5 squared times 20 times 1/2. You know what? Instead of doing the 20 and 1/2, let's just start using a 10. So 2.5. So really all I'm doing is I'm taking that velocity, squaring it, and hitting it with a 10. So this time we're going to do a 2.5 squared times 10, 62.5. So I take that velocity and I square it, 3.7 squared times 10, 136.9. And the last one is 2,000 or 2,500. No, 25,000. Okay. Next one, number 3. Interesting. So this one is velocity times time plus 1/2 at squared. Now notice the velocity times time, velocity is 10. So we've got to, okay, so we're going to have to go 10 times the time and then add that to 1/2 acceleration times the time squared. Is the acceleration constant? Okay, so here's what I did. I take the time that was given to me. I've got the 10. That's just part of the equation. So I do 10 times the time that was given to me plus 1/2 the time that was given me times the velocity squared. No, excuse me, that's not the time. That is the velocity, that's the acceleration, times that. So you know what, let me write it on a piece of paper so it's easier to see. So I have y equals velocity, which was given to me as 10, time, which I don't know. Well, I do know, but 1/2 acceleration, which is, and a value of, got it, 2.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug my t in. I'm missing a square on this. I'm going to plug in the t values here and here and evaluate this. So our first t value is 0.25. So I'm plugging in a 0.25 and a 0.25. Okay, so this is going to give me a 2.5 plus 0.25 squared times 2.5 times 0.5. So I take that number and I add it together with this number, and that gives me 2.57, which would be a 2.6, which actually matches up with my answer key. Okay, let's do it again. But it's not a 2.5, this time it's a 0.5. So that would turn this into a 5. And let's do this math right here. 0.5 squared times 2.5 times 0.5. That gives me 0.3125, and then I have to add that to the 5, which gives me 5.3, which matches up with my answer key. So that's how you do it. And there are the rest of them, 22.1 and 85.8. And this one, we're just going to keep plugging c in over and over again. So it's going to be c plus 32 times 9 divided by 5. So I think we can do this one just in a calculator and looking at, so 0.25 plus 32 times 9 divided by 5. That would be 58.1, which does not match what's on my, where did I mess that up? Times 9 divided by 5? 0.25 plus 32, boom, times 9 divided by 5. Well, that should be 58.05. What am I doing wrong? What I'm doing wrong is I have the wrong equation right here. Okay, this equation, I have it written down incorrectly in Edulastic. I will need to fix that. The correct equation is this. It should be F equals 9/5 C plus 32. There we go. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, so now let's try this again. So I'm going to take my C, which is 0.25, times 9 divided by 5, and I'm going to add that to a 32, which gives me 32.45, which is 32.5, and that matches up. Good. Next one's a 0.5, so I'm going to do a 0.5 times a 9 divided by a 5 plus 32 gives me a 32.9. Except this entire table is messed up. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I've got the wrong numbers here also. You know, I basically messed up this whole problem. So this should not be a 0.5. This should be a 50. This should be a, no, that's wrong. This should be a 10. This should be a 25. Okay, now let's try it. So if I go with a 10, I get 10 times 9 divided by 5 equals that, plus the 32 gives me a 50. That matches my answer key. I plug in a 25, so I go 25 times 9 divided by 5 plus 32. That takes me to a 77. And here I go 78.5 times 9 divided by 5. That takes me to a 141.3. Yes. And let's see how I did. So it says I missed one right here. 141.3, 141.3. How did I mess that up? 78. Because I didn't add the 32 to it, did I? Plus 32 is 173.3. All right. So I messed that one up because I didn't add the 32 to it. You probably caught that error when I was doing it. All right. Besides that, I'm looking pretty good. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching.